After that day, the air in the office changed. For Amanda, the hallways felt narrower, and every closing elevator door sounded like a heartbeat. She told herself Ryan's question was just another psychological experiment, a way for a broken boy to see how a beggar would squirm. "What do you think of me?" She tried to think of him as a monster, but the memory was losing its teeth. Instead, she thought of the way his hand had hesitated before touching the office door. She thought of his peppermint breath. She wasn't running from him anymore. She was running from the realization that he was becoming human. So she mastered the art of the grand vanish. If Ryan entered a room, Amanda became a professional ghost. She once spent 20 minutes hiding in a broom closet with a very confused janitor just to avoid Ryan's path. "You looking for a mop, dear?" the janitor asked. "No," Amanda whispered, pressing her ear to the door. "I'm looking for my dignity." But Ryan was the apex predator of his own building. He didn't just notice her absence, he mapped it. One evening, as she hurried home through the cooling city air, the silence was broken by the low, predatory hum of a luxury engine. The black SUV crawled beside her like a shark in shallow water. "So this is the strategy now?" Ryan's voice drifted through the lowered window. He wasn't looking at her. He was looking at the road, his profile etched in granite. "Parkour through the service stairs to avoid the lobby." Amanda didn't stop. "It's called exercise, Ryan. You should try it. It's better for the heart than whatever it is you do." The car stopped. He stepped out, his presence instantly swallowing the streetlights. "Why are you running, Amanda?" She spun around, her short temper finally snapping. "Because you ask questions that don't have answers. What do I think of you?" "I think you're a man who breaks lives for fun." What was that supposed to mean? Ryan didn't blink. He took a step into her personal space, the cool chill of his past replaced by a heat that made her skin prickle. "It means," he said, his voice dropping to a gravelly silk, "that I like you. I want you to be my girlfriend." The world didn't just tilt, it did a full backflip. Amanda's brain temporarily stalled. She looked for the hidden cameras, the mocking smirk, the punchline. There was none. "No," she hissed, though her heart was trying to kick its way out of her ribs. "No," Ryan tilted his head, genuinely perplexed, as if she had just rejected a gift of oxygen. "No, you don't get to do this," she shouted, her voice trembling with the weight of the last few months. "You don't get to ruin my family, humiliate me in the street, and then offer me a title like it's a promotion. Is this the new game? Make the beggar fall in love so you can laugh when you leave." That silence, that terrifying, empty silence, scared her more than any threat. She flagged a taxi with the desperation of a survivor, leaving him standing alone in the dark. Amanda's rejection had been a sharp, reflexive no, but the week that followed was worse than any punishment. Ryan didn't chase. He didn't text. He didn't even look her way in the halls. The silence was deafening. It made her feel small, then angry, then worst of all, lonely. By the 8th day was a fever dream. Amanda was a walking disaster. She accidentally filed the tax returns under trash and nearly watered a silk plant in Eliza's office. Then the whispers started. "Did you see her? The heiress?" "She's practically glued to him. I guess the Ice King finally found his queen." Amanda's blood turned to lead. She followed a group of gossiping interns toward the executive wing. There, through the glass, she saw her. She was breathtaking. Long legs, hair that cost more than Amanda's house, and a laugh that sounded like wind chimes. She had her arms wrapped around Ryan's neck, whispering something into his ear. And Ryan, he didn't move, he didn't pull away, he looked comfortable. The hurt hit Amanda like a physical blow to the stomach. "You asked me out because I was a challenge," she thought bitterly. But she's the prize. She worked until her eyes burned, leaving the building long after the sun had set. She walked, hoping the cold air would numb the stinging in her chest. "You're predictable," a voice sparked from the shadows. Ryan was leaning against his car, looking exhausted, his tie loosened for the first time. "Get lost, Ryan," Amanda snapped, her voice thick. "Go find your GPS. Or better yet, go find your fiancé. I'm sure she's waiting to hug the life out of you." Ryan's eyes sharpened. "You saw Celine." "I saw a girl who looks like she belongs in your world," Amanda shot back, her steez failing as her lip began to tremble. "Why did you do it? Why ask me out when you have someone like her? Someone pretty, someone completed. Amanda, no, you wanted to see me break again, didn't you? Well, congratulations. You win. The tears finally broke cover, hot and fast. I hate that I looked for you in the hallways today. I hate that I cared. You're a monster, Ryan, and I'm a fool. She turned to run, but Ryan moved with the speed of the boy who used to kill things just to feel a chill. He grabbed her arm, not with cruelty, but with a desperate, heavy strength. He didn't explain. He didn't argue. He pulled her into his chest, burying his face in the crook of her neck. Amanda froze. She meant to hit him. She meant to scream. But the moment her face touched his expensive shirt, the scent of peppermint and something uniquely him flooded her senses. Her hands, which had been balled into fists, slowly uncurled, clutching the fabric of his coat as she sobbed into his heart. Amanda knew at that moment that she was gone. Ryan held her so tight it hurt to breathe, his jaw tight enough to crack stone. He wasn't looking at her. He was looking at his own trembling hands, realizing that for the first time in his life, he wasn't the one in control. "She's my cousin, you idiot," he whispered into her hair, a ghost of a strained, shaky laugh in his voice. Amanda's sobs hitched. She pulled back just an inch, her tear-stained face looking up at him in shock. "You're..." "What?" Ryan looked down at her, his dark eyes swirling with a hunger and a terror he couldn't hide anymore. "My cousin. She's getting married in a month. She came to talk about the guest list." He reached out, his thumb brushing a tear from her cheek. His touch was electric, making her breath hitch. "I told you I liked you, Amanda. I don't lie. I don't have the emotions required to make up stories." He leaned in, his forehead resting against hers. "But seeing you cry over me, that's the most painful thing I've ever felt. And I've been hit with a bag full of stones, remember?" Amanda let out a wet, shaky laugh. The suspense in the air was thick enough to suffocate. They stood in the quiet street, caught between a past of cruelty and a future they both feared. "So," Amanda whispered, her voice trembling as she looked up into the eyes of the boy who wasn't supposed to feel. "What happens now?" Ryan's grip on her waist tightened. "Now," he murmured, his voice dropping to a dangerous, low vibration that vibrated in her very bones. "I stop being patient." He began to bend down, his movements slow, deliberate, and agonizingly focused. Amanda's heart hammered against her ribs like a trapped bird. She saw his eyes flutter shut, felt the warmth of his breath against her lips, and instinctively tilted her chin up, her own eyes closing in surrender. But just as the space between them vanished, just as the world narrowed down to the heat of his skin, Ryan stopped. His breath hitched, and he froze mere millimeters from her lips. Amanda's eyes flew open, her heart skipping a beat in the sudden, suffocating silence.